abiding in the result. There wouldn't be a person who's reached that result. Nor would there be path enterers. There would be no one who, before they actually reach any of the results, enters first the path of accumulation and the path of preparation, which are the two stages that precede the stage of the stream enterer. Now, never mind. If you get confused now, be patient with yourself. That's just about path and grounds, etc. It's not that difficult, but we just don't have the time to explain this now. It just talks about the levels that you go through to become liberated. If the 8 kinds of passing did not exist, so here we're talking about the 4 results. If they don't exist, then the person who enters the results don't exist, and the approacher to those 4 results doesn't exist. So the 8 people are, the 8 kinds of passing are the 4 that abide in the individual results, and then the individual, the respective approacher. Approacher to becoming a stream enterer, approacher to becoming a once returner, a non or never returner, and an approacher to being an ah. So if they don't exist, because those 4 are said to be the Sangha, right? We have a wider sense of thinking of the Sangha as like monks and nuns, or even wider, anyone who practices Buddhism. But in a more stricter sense, it refers to beings who've realized reality, Arya beings. And I've already said a stream enterer, which is the first result, is the result of a person who realized emptiness directly, so an Arya. So we can talk about the 4 results or the 4 types of Aryas. Okay? They are Sangha.
What's Arya?
Arya means, Arya doesn't mean like the way it was misused in the Second World War. No, Arya is an Indian word for someone non-worldly, beyond the mundane. And here, in this context, it means someone who's special, if you like. In this context, it means someone who has realized emptiness, the actual nature of phenomena directly. That person is called an Arya.
This is in the Mahayana view.
This is, I'm not aware of the Pali tradition, whether they call...
They call it Hara. The end in this area is the proceeding of the Mahayana practice.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm only aware of the Sanskrit tradition, where they, So, if the 8 kinds of passions did not exist, there would be no Sangha. Sangha in the strictest way wouldn't exist, because that's in the strictest way Arya beings, and they refer to those 4, at least from the point of view of self-liberation. If they don't exist, there would be no noble truth, and thus no exalted Dharma. There would be no Dharma. If there's no Sangha, there's also no Dharma. There would be no 4 noble truth, so no Sangha, no Dharma. If there's no Sangha and no Dharma, there were no Dharma, no Sangha, how could there be a Buddha? Right? And if there's no Dharma, you don't need a Buddha. The Buddha's only path was to teach the Dharma. So when we take refuge, actually taking refuge, I don't think is a really good word. Because it's like, people misunderstand it. It's almost like you give away free will. It's terribly misunderstood, I believe. Anyway, never mind. But also what we really need to take refuge in, what we really need to entrust ourselves in, or to rely on, it's really like, it's more of a sense of relying upon, is the Dharma. The main thing to rely upon, the main jewel, if you like, the main object of refuge is the Dharma. As in like relying on it. What do you think? Why do people have such a hard time with refuge? Do people have a hard time? Yes, Tom.
I think because we think that our situation is quite good. We don't need a refuge.
We're not refugees.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. We're not refugees. It almost seems to be like a sense of surrender, in a way in which we don't want to surrender. But that's not. I mean, we seek refuge all the time, right? If I feel miserable, what do? I call my friend. I have an ice cream. I eat some pizza. I mean, when we feel miserable, we try to find a way to overcome that sense of misery. So we take refuge in a friend, so we just kind of rely on something that can help us to remove the problem. say we take refuge, we seek the solution to our problem in the Dharma. That's it. So it's not like saying, I take refuge in the Buddha. Oh, Buddha, please help me, right? Take care of it. I'm just going to lay back. Can you please take care of this? That's not what it means. It means something much more specific. But here, the Dharma, it's like finding the solution in the Dharma. So if you've learned the Dharma, let's say you're really, really angry, terribly angry. So instead of going, oh, I'm going to have a pizza just to take care of that, right? And just forget about my anger. It's not going to help with it. So instead, what could I do with my anger? How could I deal with it that right away I can allow it to weaken, etc. So that's it. You've taken refuge in that moment. It's not like Dharma, give me a tent, or is there a refugee camp? I mean, not in that sense. So I think the word refuge, especially at a time of refugees, it doesn't really mean you literally become a refugee, as in like you're homeless now or whatever, right? Not in that sense. But yeah, it's really in Tibetan. Gyab means protect. Gyaba means to protect. So gyab an object of protection. Something that protects your mind. Can protect your mind if you seek protection. So it's actually less refuge. Yeah. Kyabchua. Okay, the Tibetan word for refugee is like kyabchua, alright. It's got that word in it. But it means actually someone who seeks protection from persecution. It has that connotation much more than the word refuge or refugee. Okay. Alright. If there were no Brahma and Sangha, there would be a Buddha. If emptiness were construed in this way, the existence of the three jewels would be undermined. Then he goes on to say, the existence of activities and results. Is it the profane or the profane? How do you pronounce that?
What is profane?
Worldly. The worldly. I think it means worldly, like a worldly, right? Mundane.
No, it makes sense of something really dirty,
lowly, yes. It means that in Tibetan too, it's chömainba. It's non-dharmic. So non-dharmic actually doesn't just mean non-religious, but it means like any activity that is kind of comes out of ignorance, comes out of like a lowly kind of, so profane. I didn't know what word to use.
It's like anti-religious.
Even anti-religious, yes, it can have that connotation too. So chömainba is actually just non-dharmic. It's non-dharmic. But non-dharmic seems to suggest in English anything that is not Buddhism. But it's more than that. It's kind of like if someone acts like chömainba, like non-dharmic, they exist in a low way, in a negative way, harming oneself and others. Does that have that connotation?
I'm looking at a dictionary, and it has different meanings. One is not concerned with religion or religious purposes, like secular, but also not holy, impure, defiled.
Impure, defiled. So it has all these meanings in English, and I don't remember when I translated it, but I kind of remember looking it up and thinking, does it have all the connotations that it has in Tibetan? And I found it did. Just non-dharma didn't go further, it didn't go far enough, because non-dharma in English just means non-Buddhist, but in Tibetan it means more than that. It is lowly, it is impure, it's stained, etc. Which is why it was already in the translation that I used again, different translations that I came across, and one of them, some translator used it, and I liked it. I took it on.
Profanity is a dirty language. It's even lower than what she's describing. It's very crude, low language.
Profanity. Oh, right. Yes. So, depending on the context, but chömainba also means any kind of low activity that harms others, that is just negative. So, anyway, what he's saying here is the existence of activities and results, that which is profanity, Dharma itself, and worldly conventions, all those would be undermined. So the good, the bad, anything we describe to exist wouldn't exist because it couldn't. Like, it wouldn't be existent because it lacked inherent existence. Alright, that's it. So he's basically saying nothing would be possible. Why do you bother about the Dharma? You still need the profane, because that's what you need to abandon, what you need to eliminate. So none of that would be there, wouldn't exist. Why do you talk about Buddhism? So obviously it's someone who does follow Buddhism, but says only because things exist inherently, the Four Noble Truths makes sense. Right? Okay. Now, in response to that, Nagarjuna says, well, here we say that you do not realize emptiness and the purpose of emptiness, or the meaning of emptiness. So you do not realize, you do not understand what emptiness means in terms of like, what is the purpose of emptiness, and what is the meaning? What does it actually refer to? It doesn't mean nothingness. And there's a purpose for understanding it. It's crucial for practicing the Four Noble Truths from the Prajnanika school point of view. Hence, you're harmed by it. In the sense you don't understand what it refers to, you misunderstand it, and you believe it means nothing is there. So in that sense, your misunderstanding harms you. Okay? The Buddha's teachings of the Dhamma is based on the true truth. Okay? So true truth, the conventional and the ultimate. So the Four Noble Truths fall into the category of the conventional. They exist, conventionally they exist. Okay? But there's also the underlying truth, which is the ultimate truth. Now, in Lama Tsongkhapa's text, for instance, now there's a long explanation on the true truth. That could be a different course. I mean, I already talked at some point the true truth, and there's a lot of material you can read, a lot of books on it, a lot of explanation. We just don't have the time to get into it. Is there anyone who's never heard of the true truth? Okay. The ultimate truth is emptiness itself. Okay? Emptiness itself. The lack of inherent existence of anything, that lack of inherent existence, that absence of a quality that things have never had, that is inherent existence, is called ultimate truth. And then anything that is not that absence. Of course, the table lacks inherent existence, but the table is not the absence of inherent existence. So anything else that exists besides the lack of inherent existence is called a conventional truth. Okay? So anything other than emptiness is called a conventional truth. And what is the need for teaching those? Because if there was only emptiness, right, then that would be like saying nothing exists other than emptiness, and that would be absurd. Because when we say emptiness, it depends on something other than itself. For instance, the emptiness of this table. What is it that lacks inherent existence? Well, the table, a chair, people, etc. So there are plenty of things. There's so much. The world is full of limitless things, endless things. But they're called conventional truth. Why? Because they're merely labeled. In fact, emptiness itself is also merely labeled. Yeah, but here I'm just talking about the etymology of the word conventional truth. Okay? So conventional in the sense that it does not refer to the ultimate reality, but based on which the ultimate reality exists. The emptiness of the table, the emptiness of the iPad, the emptiness of the cup, etc. Alright? And everything that exists has those two aspects. I mean, any conventional truth has an aspect of a conventionality, of a conventional truth, and an aspect of an ultimate truth. So that's what it says, form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is no other than form. So it's really saying, because this table lacks inherent existence, emptiness is form. The table is empty. Emptiness is the table. Therefore, because it lacks inherent existence, because of this mode of existence, the table can exist. But it exists inseparably linked from its lack of inherent existence. Table is not other than emptiness. And emptiness is not other than the table, really means, although they're inseparably linked, the emptiness of the table is not the table, and the table is not its emptiness. They're not identical, and nonetheless they're inseparably linked. Okay? That's what it means. So everything, like a table, a chair, etc., it has its ultimate mode of existence, its lack of inherent existence, but it itself is a conventional truth. Okay? Also the true truth, that's a short explanation. Of course, there's much more to that. Alright. So the Buddha, therefore, he taught the true truth. He said the Four Noble Truths, they are conventional truth. They're not ultimate truth. Four noble truths are conventional truths. So they exist. Buddha didn't say, just because he taught emptiness, he didn't say, first of all, he didn't say that emptiness means nothingness. And secondly, he distinguished between emptiness itself and that which is not emptiness, on which the emptiness is just based. So lack of inherent existence is based on a lot of things, person, self, conventional self, of course, conventional I, mind, etc. So the Buddha's teachings of the Dharma is based on the true truth, the truth of worldly convention. Worldly convention here means worldly, not in like a negative sense, worldly, but like our worldly sense of reality, the conventions we've created. This is a chair, this is a table, this is good, this is bad, right? They're not absolute good and absolute bad. No, we create these conventions, these ideas, our mind created those, based on lots of other phenomena. So they are designated by a conceptual mind, and that is described with the worldly. Okay? And the Buddha himself has said, I'm not in contradiction with these worldly ideas, unless they don't make sense. Of course, there are certain ideas that this is permanent, for instance. Well, that is a wrong perception. But in general, what is accepted in this world, the Buddha goes along with it. Right? This is a table, this is a chair. Okay? If you call this a table, a chair, or in other cultures we call it something different, right? I mean, the conventions we use are very different in other cultures. It's very interesting. Since I learned Tibetan, I learned how to speak Tibetan, and I live actually with Tibetan nuns, my way of thinking is different when I speak Tibetan. I catch myself thinking slightly differently. So the language we use, the conventions we use, they come about through our language. Well, our language is a result of our way of thinking, but also the language reinforces a certain way of thinking. So it goes back and forth. Which is why the conventions we use here in the West, and I include, like, of course, Israel is a Western country as such, not geographically the same West, but being a Western country, so our way of thinking is quite different to the Asian way of thinking. But if you live there long enough and you learn the language, of course you never really think like an Asian person, but it influences you to a certain degree, and like I said, you think differently. Okay? Even with German or English, even there's slight differences that I'm acting differently. I've been told I move differently when I speak those two languages. Also with Tibetan, I move differently. I don't move my hands as much. Because you don't move your hands when you speak Tibetan. So I don't move my hands. Without noticing. Alright. So, therefore, conventions are made by people of this world. Okay? And the Buddha is not denying those, but he describes them as worldly conventions. Right? As conventions. Okay, so that's why. The truth of worldly convention, of the conventions of this world, and the ultimate truth. Those who do not understand the distinction between these two truths do not understand Buddha's profound teaching. Very important, those two truths, very important. What is the necessity of presenting those two truths? Well, without depending on conventions, the meaning of the ultimate cannot be taught. I could not talk. The Buddha couldn't have talked about the ultimate unless he used conventional truth to describe it, right? So, any teaching, you don't just go, emptiness. No, you need an explanation, you need examples, you need everyday kind of things we're familiar with. Which is why, when we read a text that was written 2,500 years ago, we don't understand, because those are conventions we no longer use. Alright? Well, yeah, the Heart Sutra, it's alright. But if you read certain other texts, very difficult to understand because we're not used to using conventions in that way. Which is why, especially in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, you use commentaries of commentaries of commentaries of commentaries. Why? Because you use new conventions to explain the same idea. Right? But because language changes and the way things are explained, the examples are different, we rely more and more on newer commentaries to then eventually go back and read the original text with that understanding. Okay? So the Heart Sutra is one example. I was thinking next year I would do a course on the Heart Sutra. Well, basically explaining, there are a lot of commentaries on that. So it is not really hard to understand it, but there's some aspects that need to be explained. 3, 4 profundities, for instance, how the Heart Sutra teaches the 5 paths, etc. So once you've learned about this and you go back to the Heart Sutra, it's like, right? So there are commentaries, contemporary commentaries that you read, and then you go back to that ancient text and you totally understand it. So to me, it's like a decodifier. These newer commentaries, they basically explain, because they speak in code, if you like, a code that was used at the time, a convention that was used at the time. And yeah, they keep changing, which is why we have a hard time to read, read this text, right? It was just a different convention that was used at the time. And a lot of examples, like right now, what I'm working on is a text called the Pramanavartika. Pramanavartika was like written in the 8th century. Then there's a commentary I translate that was written in the 13th, 14th century. Still, if I read it, you know, like I teach a class on that, I can see people's eyes go, oh. And then there's the explanation. But if I didn't add that, then it wouldn't make sense, because different conventions. So it's actually, the ideas are not that difficult, but you need to find conventions that we can do something good with this day and age. Okay? Alright, and since they're just labels, that's why they can be very different, depending on time, depending on culture, etc. So without depending on conventions, the meaning of the ultimate cannot be taught. Without realizing the meaning of the ultimate, nirvana cannot be achieved. Makes sense, doesn't it? So this is not that difficult, is it? It's really important, but not that difficult. It puts things into the right context. Misperceptions of emptiness destroys those of little intelligence. Alright, okay, so this is like maybe not very politically correct in the 21st century, but you know, like I said, in Tibet, people weren't so concerned about. I mean, I have no problem saying, oh, a little intelligence. I am. In relation to the Buddha, no intelligence. Maybe in relation, it's all relative, right? Our problem with these words is like, oh, of little intelligence, they're putting me down. I mean, come on. If I'm not of little intelligence and someone says I am, well, they're just plain wrong. If I'm of a little intelligence and they tell me I am, they're just pointing out the obvious. So what's the big deal, right? In what way do those words harm me? That's one way of looking at it. But also, being of little intelligence, we have this bizarre way of looking at language. Intelligence is not like a flop. Stupid intelligence. I am stupid when it comes to repairing a car. I'm hopeless. I don't even think I can change a tire, right? But I'm less stupid when it comes to, you know, reading certain Dharma texts. There's some understanding in comparison. So stupidity or intelligence is always in relation to being able to know, to do something. There's trillions and millions of things. I can't speak Hebrew. I only say a few words to make you love, you know, in the right moments, that's all. But I can't do much. I can't say much. So I'm stupid when it comes to that. I'm of low intelligence. And intelligence doesn't just mean the potential to learn it. I may have the potential, but honestly, the more I wait, the harder it gets. I'm old now, so, you know, it's going to be like when I was in my 20s, it was easy. Now, it's only in relation to something, so then I don't worry about it. It's only relative. So low intelligence doesn't mean totally stupid. It's not like if you're of low intelligence with relation to emptiness that you cannot be Albert Einstein, right? So it's all relative.
Never mind if he referred to me, but doesn't he refer to Svatantika and below masters? It's an answer to all the first 6 verses.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of you don't understand it because
Shirachuma. Here actually means of low wisdom or of low intelligence.
Yeah. To them.
Yes. So, okay, in relation to the understanding of the Prasangika, in relation to that not understanding emptiness correctly, in relation to that, I call them those of lower intelligence.
It's not personal.
It's not personal, right? Again, like all I'm trying to convey is this sense, I tell you something. When I was studying, my classmates, they were all monks, and it's almost like part of the training, as in like, don't get so caught up in words. So they gave each other nasty nicknames. You know what my nickname was? Some of you remember? What's my nickname? You don't remember? Listen.
No.
Monkey bum. Monkey ass. Monkey bum. Why? Because at that time in particular, because it was a little bit higher up in Dharamsala, and I was living with nuns, and every morning the nuns would go to the water tap, it was always cold water, take this terrible soap, and scrub their faces. Well, if you have Tibetan skin, you can do that. If you get German skin, the color of your face is that of a monkey. Dharamsala had red behinds, right? What do you call that? So they called me monkey bum because I had a red face. He said, Hakala called me Ani Mari. Mari means like reddish. He called me reddish nun. He always called me Ani Mari. And my classmates called me monkey bum. Right? And so it was always this testing, right? Because if you got angry, they would do it more. Just the testing. Press your buttons. And make fun of it. You know, when you got angry, then they'd be like, but it was all part of the test. And I learned from my other classmate, I learned from Josh. Because, like me, he got upset, but because he was with the monks all the time, he expressed that being upset, because it was like rude. They gave him some nasty name, like they gave everyone. But because he was friendly with them, he was like expressing his discontent. And then they did it even more. So I realized, I learned from his mistake. And they would say, my name's Monkey Bum. And they stopped on that very day. It was no longer interesting. And really, it's just a word. And one time I remember, there was a nun who got angry with me for whatever reason. I'd said something that offended her. And she called me Bango. Bango. Bango actually means beggar. But it's not a nice word for beggar. It's like the lowest of the low. Bango. You can hear it, right? Bango. Bango. You. Bango. Right? I was so offended. Oh my God, you called me Bango. And then it was like, at the beginning of my studies, I went to see King Yatsuba. Kema, someone called me Bango. Oh, poor me. He was like, oh. And he said, Bango, can you make me some tea? He called me Bango for 2 weeks. I no longer care, you know? Your plain teacher who looks after you calls you Bango. It was just a word, you know? He taught me in that way. He taught me, it's just a word. What is this bag of Bango? Right? I felt so offended by the word. It's bizarre, the process that we go through when someone says something. First of all, it's just a word. Okay? So sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can do no harm. It doesn't feel like that. Sticks and stones are much better than that word. Bongo. Okay. But it doesn't make me a jerk or whatever is the meaning in that context. And secondly, it's her problem calling me that. It's only my problem if I really behave like a bongo. Okay. Then she says the obvious. So honestly, it's not her, it's not my problem. In the case, like, if someone misbehaves towards me, why do I take it personally? Doesn't need to. So it's a lot of unnecessary suffering, right? It's unnecessary suffering in the sense that it's not my problem, okay? I mean, I can choose to go, I can choose to make it hurt me, but it really is just a word. And so to learn this language, they're just empty words. I mean, they don't have this meaning intrinsically. We give them that meaning. We label. Okay? And then it seems like the word in itself holds that meaning, and it actually hurts me. That is just an illusion. That's just a projection, a fantasy. That we say, they hurt my feeling. Oh, which feeling exactly? Which feeling is that? A feeling associated with the sense consciousness or a feeling associated with the mental consciousness? Which feeling was hurt? Oh, a feeling of happiness. Well, just because I allowed her, I'm allowed to feel like, oh, they've hurt me, and I make a whole story out of it. That's why my feeling of unhappiness is gone. If they called me Bangor, they just go, all right, call